There's an interesting article one of my viewers sent me on the Daily Caller. The title sort of says it all. Marilyn Mosby's father was a crooked cop. Police officer grandfather sued for racial discrimination. Marilyn Mosby was confronted by Fox News' Griff Jenkins, and he said that the Baltimore finest believe that she does not have their backs because of how she handled the Freddie Gray case. And then she came back with, quote, "I come from 5 generations of police officers. That's absurd." Well, she wasn't lying. She does come from 5 generations of police officers. Her father, mother, grandfather, and uncles have at one time or another worked as cops. But what she didn't tell us at that time was that her father, Alan James, in 1989, James and a fellow officer named Dwight Allen were arrested and charged with assault and battery for their role in several armed robberies in a high crime area of Boston. You have to wonder, how many did they get away with before they got caught? Now, what's interesting is that, according to the Boston Globe article, at that time, James Allen and another suspect flashed badges and brandished guns while shaking down at drug dealers. The officers identified themselves as renegade police and were reportedly drunk during one of the robberies. One of them fired his gun, but nobody was hurt. James was arrested while on duty at a police station in Dorchester, but was acquitted on charges in the case in 1991. After acquittal, he immediately was fired for conduct unbecoming an officer, according to the Baltimore Brew, an independent newspaper. Now, Mosby never publicly acknowledged this, but she did mention it in her biography written for her campaign for state's attorney. She wrote, quote, "My dad was a crooked cop," Mosby said, according to the document, which was not released to the public. Quote, "He confiscated drugs and money from the dealers on a regular basis," unquote. Then there's Mosby's maternal grandfather, Prescott Thompson. Now, Thompson went by Rick, and he sued the police department in 1986, claiming that he was the target of racial discrimination. Back in 1971, he was injured when a car battery exploded, and he ended up losing one of his eyes. And he said that he has policing in his blood, and he wanted to remain on the police force in the capacity that he was in. And he was told that he couldn't do that. And he was offered a retirement. That wasn't enough for him to stay off the force. So what he did was he went back and he applied again. And then he cited that 2 other officers, or actually 4 other officers, that were on the police force with one eye that was functioning. And those policemen didn't work in the same kind of work that Thompson worked in, or wanted to work in. So he was told that he couldn't remain with the police. And he sued, and he claimed he wasn't hired because he was black. So here you've got Marilyn Mosby going after 6 policemen for something that they didn't do, and she's bragging about coming from 5 generations of police. And I don't know how many, they were probably all crooked at one time or another. But how nuts is this? Hey, let me ask you, if you read this in a book, this whole thing with Marilyn Mosby and the mayor of Baltimore, Stephanie Burke, would you believe it to be anything other than fiction? Huh? Well, folks, it's not fiction. This is real. And this attorney needs to be disbarred for what she's done to those 6 police officers and the cost that she's burdened onto the city. And the lawsuits that are going to follow, she needs to go. Oh no, by the way, so does that mayor, Stephanie Burke. She needs to go too, for having told the police, let them burn, let them do what they need to do, let them get it off their chest, or something to that effect. Totally insane. If you read any of this in a book, you'd think it'd be nothing other than fiction. Well, it's not fiction. It's real. The citizens of Baltimore need to demand that she loses her job. They need to demand that the mayor find something else to do. And they should, while they're at it, get a new member of Congress to represent them. Elijah Cummings is way long in the tooth. 33 years of doing nothing but milking the trough. Get him out of there. Get them all out of there. That's sort of what I think. So what do you think?